I'm Audrey Verhaeghe. I'm the founder of the SA Innovation Summit. It's a 13-year-old summit that has run in South Africa. 33 countries participate in the summit. It grew over time and organically to be the largest tech startup event in Africa. And you can imagine that how much we have been confronted with this COVID-19 virus, because our entire business model is built around this event that is a catalytic event of togetherness, a massive group of people, 3,500 gather, share information, connect, make deals. We facilitate approximately R1 billion of deal making over the 3 days of the Innovation Summit every year. And it's the clock for innovation, tech, entrepreneurship, and investment once a year in Cape Town. So our talk today is how to pivot your business model when you're confronted with it by your business model being wiped out, like what we are experiencing. So this is an output actually of my team, and I will introduce 2 of the directors of the Innovation Summit pretty soon. But an output of our team was, how do we not just focus on our own crisis, but how do we reach out and help as this unfolds? So this is a work in progress, and the people we've lined up in the coming weeks, they all say, Audrey, we're in process, we're pivoting, we're changing, we're surviving, and hopefully we will thrive ultimately, but it's a work in progress. So we're not claiming this is academic rigor, we're not claiming anything precise here. We say we're sharing here. We're going to talk about our case study. Maybe there's some learning there. And as you participate, I'm seeing Sheila says not seeing interaction of other panelists. Sheila, Buntu and Saskia is not talking yet. I will introduce them. Let's do that quickly. Buntu Majaja, he set up the Zoom meeting for us, and he's just looking at questions and managing the questions. Buntu, do you want to say hello to everybody?
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're well, and for all the entrepreneurs there, I hope that this session and the series to come as well can be a great resource to share and connect and also find new opportunities. But I think most it is about how, as an entrepreneurial community, business community, we can work together as we are looking into the eye of the after the COVID and the economic impact. And this is really, at least my hope, that we can journey through this and find ways of working together. And this platform is for you, as well as for us to be able to discuss those opportunities. So I'm looking forward, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Sheila, did you hear Buntu's response? Can you maybe write in the chat function that you could hear it or not? And then Saskia Nishans. Saskia is our Chief Operating Officer. So if you have attended the Innovation Summit in the past, the incredible show, she was responsible for putting it together last year. So Saskia, just unmute yourself and say hello.
Hi guys, welcome. Very excited about this first webinar series that we're hosting. And I really hope that it will add some value, and it will actually contribute to helping everyone facing all these crazy challenges at the moment, make sure that we all survive this, so that we can build on what we're doing going further.
Thank you. Lana says, hello Saskia. Sheila says she couldn't see the other comments. So we've got the chat function. Ubuntu, just make sure that is public so that all attendees can see the chat function. The Q&A function is at the bottom. If you swirl your little button, you can see a Q&A function. And if you want to ask the panelists questions, that's where you can write your question. We will try and monitor both, but if it gets very busy in the chat function, then I won't see anything there. There's nothing in the Q&A function at the moment, and that's how we're going to navigate this session. So we're 23 participants, and we're going to start. So I'm going to talk about the Innovation Summit's journey. I want to invite you to use this as a case study. And those of you that have ever studied cases, the purpose of a case is to learn or think about what somebody else is going through, share that, and then extrapolate that learning into your own situation. Of course, if you're managing a bed and breakfast and we're managing an event, and somebody else is managing virtual or augmented reality company, our experiences will be very different. But it doesn't mean we can't learn from each other. And that is what this is all about. So Saskia, can you manage the chat? I don't think I can follow the chat, but just answer the questions and stop if you need to. And you too, Buntu. I will look at Q&A then and again, and I will try and answer that. So our purpose here was, as a team, how do we reach out to this community of entrepreneurs? How do we support you? And the biggest thing that I think we all experience on social media is it is clear that we are not alone. Everybody's going through some sort of stress. Whether you are next week's talk, Glenn Gillis, who runs an augmented reality company, and he is taking, and I'm sure you're hearing the birds in my background as well. So we're trying to juggle all of this at the moment. And he's doing an augmented reality company. So obviously he's driving a curve of an influx of requests. And that's a different type of stress where we have a physical event that we must pivot into a digital space. And we've never done that before. So it doesn't mean we're the same, but we're all in this together. We're all going through a stressful time. So it's the togetherness and it's the case study. I'm going to talk about a little bit of feelings, the psychology that we had to deal with. Then we're going to talk about thinking and how did we approach the model. And then we're going to talk about our business model. And hopefully in this whole process, there's something that's of value to you. So first of all, when we realized that our event that's in September will have to change radically is when we, in the build up to the president's talk and when the president said the whole country will shut down, in the 2 weeks before that, I think everybody picked up a lot of stress. In our team, I saw a lot of people being almost passive, scared, and staring in front of them and say, I don't think what I'm doing is appropriate anymore. Should I recruit speakers? What must I do at the moment? And the same stress that we always experience through a summit, which is very stressful, I saw suddenly here in the month of February and beginning of March. And I didn't realize right at that moment that this is stress. So definitely to actually acknowledge that this is stressful is very important. And as you dig deeper, you need to also think about yourself. How do you react as a founder or a leader in a stressful period? So my backup personality becomes very task-driven. So this Tuesday in our team meeting, I said to everybody, did you read the agenda and were you prepared? So I crap everybody out before the meeting even started because it's my backup personality. Usually I'm quite human orientated, quite indulgent, but suddenly it's task driven. Be prepared, say something useful, show me what you're doing, you know? So also becoming aware of that suddenly they must deal with somebody else because we're all in stress and you must deal with their other personalities. I think that creates a space of breathing for everybody. So being self-aware and being aware that everybody in your business is going through stress, I think is a very good starting point. And then from that perspective, to understand that we're all going through stress, making them come together and letting them become part of the solution, I think is very important. So in our team, we said, this is a crisis. We're all dealing with it differently, but you've got a week to go and think and co-create the future with us. And then amazing things started to happen. Instead of you having to come up with all the solutions, suddenly everybody in your business comes together and they come up with great proposals. So in the team, we had shifts. People became very aware of other skills where we might be using you for marketing. People put up their hands and said, but I can do project management. You know, so people became very aware of what they can offer to the team. And we became aware of other skills and opinions and contributions that we might have missed if we were the only people to come up with new solutions. So I think bringing your team in and taking them with you is very important part of their psychological health and the psychological health of the company. So that was something I wanted to share with you. Then from a mental perspective, of course, if you look at the summit, you can either postpone your summit, cancel your summit, or digitalize your summit. Those are three very real things that can happen. And if you look at what happened across the world, like Africa Burn, they absolutely canceled Africa Burn. Those people didn't have a lot of runway. We've got runway. We've got runway until the end of September. But you don't know how long this virus is going to affect everybody's lives. So there's a lot of insecurity in the runway. And cancelling is definitely a way to get out of this whole position. But if you cancel, then your money generator also gets affected, and a lot of subsequent things can happen. Of course, if the event was in May, then maybe that was the only option. But we've got a September event, so are we going for a blended approach? Are we going to postpone, or are we going for a total digital solution? So those are our mental options. And that was put forward to the team. And we are still collecting information about what it will cost to go blended, what it will cost to go just digital, and what is the effect if we get rid of the event and participate in other forums like our programs and projects. So mentally, I think it's important after the shock to actually also bring everybody on board so that we can hear their inputs and create a space of co-creation, because there's too much stress for a founder to drive all of this on their own. So that's just a comment mentally. Maybe I must just go to Q&As. If anybody wants to pose a question, I will go there and just look at if there's any questions. Buntu, Saskia, was there any chats that we must take?
No, not yet.
Okay. So now I'm going to talk about our business.
Yeah.
Sorry, Buntu, you wanted to say? Okay. So I'm going to talk about our business model. So as I said, our business model is a physical large event that has after party. It's got meeting spaces, and everybody gathers there. 3,500 people from 33 countries. That's our business model. Our income streams are tickets. Our income streams are sponsorship model and also exhibitions. But we have an income stream that I don't think is always visible, and that is that we run competitions in the build-up to the summit. We run projects and programs that capacitate entrepreneurs. So those are things that we do to get rid of the cyclical nature now. So think of it, if you only do one event, then everything builds up to this event. All your income is around that event, and it tapers down. So if your event is in September like ours, we've got 10 people working the whole year. And then over that event, you've got about 20 suppliers. You've got 200 volunteers. You've got more than 20 partnerships. And it all happens in that cycle, and all of your income sits here. So to try and get rid of this curve, we developed online training tools and physical training tools. We run competitions that open in March that we can get income around this time of the year so that we can carry our overheads more flatten the curve through the year. So we also now just wrote up a second event that happens in March next year, so that we've got a March cycle and a September cycle. These were all things that we were doing in preparation and our own way of trying to flatten our curve. So that was our business model. Physical, very physical, but it plays out in the digital space. What my team came up with is, what do we have in the digital space? We've got an online training course. We've got people who register, 1,300 per year of entrepreneurs that register and give us a lot of information about entrepreneurship that we can now maybe mine and create products out of that information and that intelligence to build the ecosystem. Why do we do the summit? So I think if you also go into why do you do your business, the summit's role in the ecosystem for entrepreneurship is to originate good pipeline for investors. We connect investors, supporters, and entrepreneurs. We showcase the best talent from Africa to the world. And fourthly, we capacitate. We hold masterclasses. We support entrepreneurs. We train, develop, and try and make them stronger. So if you take those four, capacitate, originate, connect, and showcase, just think of other ways. If that is the reason of your existence, how can you digitalize that process? And that is pivoting your model. So in the Innovation Summit, we've got the Tech Tribe Accelerator, which is an online 9-module course that makes an entrepreneur investment ready. What can we do with that content to replicate and scale that content? 3 weeks before the summit, people come on to our match and invest process where they profile themselves and where they can meet people digitally, and then make a meeting where they physically meet people. Can we digitalize that process completely? From March, across the country and across the world, we get a digital registration that puts a lot of information on the system that runs a process where we judge digitally and then play out at the Innovation Summit the top 20, which is physical. Can we replace that physical component with a digital component? And can we swift or swing this model to be much more digital? So within a month, and you would all agree that we in a month, it was 2 weeks build up. We now 2 to 3 weeks build up, and we now in day 4 or 5 of the lockdown in South Africa. And I see there's a lot of people from Russia that also registered onto this link. So across the world, you in different periods of lockdown. In a month, this team pivoted from this absolutely physical event to what we're already doing well and proposed this to many clients. I am amazed at what the team was possible to create in terms of digital proposals. I am fairly sure that maybe by May, June, we might get our first income from this pivoted model just by using what we have and emphasizing what we were already doing but under-emphasized because we focus so much on the physical event to this digital component. So I'm sure if you run a different type of business, you might have not done so much about this as we have. And I am exceptionally thankful for every little bit we've done so far. I realize we could have done much more, but this now pushes us to that space to pivot this model. So maybe in a year or two, we will be able to deliver a complete worldwide digital augmented reality event plus a physical event. We'll have to read the need of that, because I do think that the world has changed forever. And I think if you still absolutely think everything will go back to 100% the way it used to be, I think you might be wrong. I think as humanity, we will go more digital after this. And I think people will probably be shy to go to big events for at least 18 months from now. So I think there's there's real repercussions for a long time to come. And I think we can't just wait it out, depending on what type of business you are. But that's my view, and I'm completely willing to be wrong. Lorna, you're also in the eventing business. That's another thing. I think it's great that we also reach out to each other. I spoke to Nick Bradshaw, who runs the AI trade show, and Nick and I are at least on the phone every 3 days to say, how is he changing his thinking about this, and how is, so also to reach out to your peers, I think is very useful, because we are all in this together. So I want to open it a little bit to you guys. Do you have any specific questions here? Do you want to maybe share some of your insights? I don't mind if you put an insight or a share in the Q&A component, because I think this is what's important here, is that we can all share our comments. So Lunga, definitely there, you are 100% right. We are in for a change. It's exciting to give an hour that history is on our side in our ability to adapt. That's lovely. Yes, I think where we were completely shocked 2 weeks ago, most of us are seeing more and more opportunities. Saskia, do you want to maybe...
If someone wants to, also a quick one, if someone does want to say, add something through audio, want to say, add more texture to their comment, they can just send a message, as a request, and I can unmute them quickly if they want to add their audio. So that is also absolutely up. I see here, Smangaliso has a hand up. So Smangaliso, I'm going to put you through now.
And there's a second hand up, so that's great. So let's hear what Smangaliso.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. Even though I have joined the meeting a bit late, I wanted to know that like us, in most of the time, because we're in rural areas, what measures are put so that they can support us, or what this digital thing can also assist us in terms of marketing and promoting our products.
Okay, so I don't have all the answers, but the SA Innovation Summit is going to share in a newsletter links to all the support mechanisms that we are aware of. So Saskia, you can help us when that newsletter is going out, and whether our past newsletter contained many of those links, but you must follow us on social media as well, because we are trying to put every new small business support that's available in South Africa. And if there's small business support in Africa, we will also share that. And of course, online, there's a lot of support that you can just search for. Now, I know the Department of Small Business Development has asked businesses to register. So that's my first point. You must go to the Small Business Department and register your business to say what type of support you look for. And you just mentioned marketing. They say there, is it financial or is it non-financial? And you can then say, I am looking to carry salaries, or I am looking to get some marketing support. So there's a space. I think they set out a few billion rand. And I think some of the donation money of Patrice Motsepe and maybe some other individuals will also go into that fund to support small businesses. So please go and register there and state your need. And from tomorrow, applications can be made on that link. So that link is not open yet for applications. It's opening tomorrow as far as I saw, but they all open for just registering, and you cannot apply if you haven't registered. So that's one feedback that I can give you, Simongisi.
Thank you so much.
Can I add to that, Audrey?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
So as the summit, one of our core pillars is to really connect Meaning that whether we're connecting an entrepreneur to an investor, or whether we're connecting an entrepreneur to market access or knowledge or talent, connection is really something that we're passionate about. And what we're working on at the moment is to create a type of a repository where entrepreneurs can access a certain platform, and you guys can then have access to all the various sport organizations out there. So whether that is something that speaks to funding, whether it is something that speaks to talent or distribution partners or knowledge, it is something that you'll be able to access there. We're still working on that. It's something that we're pursuing. But in the interim, we will be sharing platforms that we know of that can assist entrepreneurs in these challenging times, CEDA being one of them. And I think the next newsletter will be going out sometime in next week. And that will also include a lot of these links that will hopefully be able to assist you guys.
So I also I see there's 2 more hands up. I want to say that follow us on social media. We will try and send as much support on social media, and then register for our newsletter. If you're not on our newsletter receiving that, you can do on our website, and you can directly write to us at info@innovationsummit.co.za, and we will try. Of course, we can't do it all, but we will try and either put you into a space where you will receive communication or answer you directly. Wintu, can you facilitate?
There's someone here. Yeah. So there's there is here as well. Noma sees. Is it Noma Swazi saying that I like what you said about working as a team, and that it's definitely I can generate a lot of useful ideas. And then now I'm just going to also there's Guy Harris saying it's good to see you guys and staying strong to everyone. I'm going to jump into Lilia quickly. And Mangliso, I'll then bring down your hand if you don't have anything else to add, but I'm just jumping to Lilia first. She wants to share. Over to you, Lilia.
Hello.
Lilia, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Can you hear you?
Yes, hi.
Yes.
So shortly, I'm Lilia from Skolkovo Foundation. We are kind of Russian Silicon Valley. It's the biggest technological hub in Russia. So we are just have the similar problem having the big events that we arrange ourselves twice a year. And one of them is Startup Village that will be in the end of May. So what we decided to do, we decided to make it in online format. We will have the live stream conference this year. So that is something we decided not to change the date, but to have it online. We created some partnership packages for our Russian and international partners. Of course, they are slightly different from something we have each year, but that is the measure that was necessary to do because having online. And the registrations that we normally make paid, we made them for free. So we will have normally Startup Village is hosts about 11,000 participants from 80 countries. So it's like the open air festival for startups, entrepreneurs, investors, scientists, and so on. So that is something, so this corona crisis influenced us as well. And that was the solution we tried to make now. So hope if that would be useful as well for you guys. And if you will have the offline event, we are planning to participate this year in South Africa too, to come to you and wish you luck with all of this stuff.
Lilia, thank you so much. That is absolutely beautiful. And just think that you've now just connected 95 more entrepreneurs into your Russian for free online event that would never have been possible if we still had the steep tickets and the physical event. So can I offer to you that you send us all the information and we will send it out? The summit has 52,000 newsletter followers. We will send it out in a newsletter, and that will increase
That would be great.
That would be
absolutely great. Thank you.
And I hope everybody who is attending this, I have attended the Open Innovations Forum in Moscow, and they've got a huge vision to connect with the globe on a tech entrepreneurial scale. So all of you guys, even in the rural areas of Africa, to also talk to you, Simon Gelisu, you can now participate in a Moscow event or a Russian event that's called Startup Village, that would have been inaccessible, and for the first time it's going to be accessible to everybody as long as you've got contact. So watch if you're in our following, you will receive that information. So Lilia, please share it with us. We will distribute it into the community.
Of course I will, and I've just sent my contact email to the chat, so if someone has some questions I could share it directly to, and I will send to you, Audrey, as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you.
Winter, can you help there with the other hand that's up?
I think that's Lilia's hand. If there are any other hands or questions, I'm going to check the Q&A quickly. Nothing in the Q&A, but okay, I see here a quick question in the Q&A that I'm then going to just read out. I'm not sure if you can see that as well. If you can see that as well, Audrey, it says it's from Louis. So Louis, I'm entirely pro-digital and I've always used it for training. Have you thought about audience/attendee focus during an entirely online event? So the physical event relative to digital attention is likely to change the dynamic. So I think this speaks to the audience segmentation and the offering thereof, if I'm aligned there, Luis, but I think everyone can see that question. Can you see it as well, Audrey?
I can't see it, but I've heard what you said. So she's asking whether we realize that if we go totally digital, our normal following will change as well, or the market segmentation will change. Am I understanding it correctly?
Luis, I'm going to quickly bring Luis in just to elaborate if you'd like to, Luis. I'm over to you now. Hi, Luis.
Luis, do you want to
there?
talk? There. Maybe
right,
she.
So
maybe she just wanted to set the question. I think you're right, but from our event, and this is not everybody's event, but I think it will be similar to Startup Village. Our event is the tech entrepreneur. And then a lot of entrepreneurs also come that's not necessarily tech. But just because of who our following is, our digital footprint is exceptionally strong. Over 3 days of the Innovation Summit, the technological retweeting and social media activity beats a Nando's campaign, which is one of the strongest campaigns in South Africa over 5 days. So it gives you an idea of the natural digital following that the Innovation Summit has. So I think what is different is definitely what people are prepared to pay for. Like Startup Village, I would love, Lilia, how are you protecting your income streams? You know, I'm sure sponsors will be thinking differently. If you lose all your tickets, how do you replace that? In the Innovation Summit, we will have to look at a completely different financial model. So maybe a digital event is cheaper to generate, but then your sponsorship packages might go much further. You might reach thousands more people. So it's just a rethink. You'll have to you can't think the way you used to think. You'll have to rethink your pricing model. You'll have to rethink the way you reach people. You'll have to rethink absolutely everything. And it will be like a first year, because the first year you do your summit, you also don't know how many people will buy the tickets. You don't know how many sponsors will climb on board. And it is like a new business, but you've got your old data. So you've got your name, you've got your following. So there's some pros, there's some cons, but you'll have to recreate basically all your thinking. And I agree with what you said.
Here's another point here. Thanks, Audrey. Here's another point here from John. John is saying, I wonder if an example of the ultimate entrepreneur is a writer who has prepared the first novel for publication. That situation is absolutely not scalable and is intensely personal. So the question seems to be, is your pivoting model applicable to that situation? In other words, is it personal and non-scalable, or is it scalable? And how should he or she approach publishers at lowest cost with greatest returns, bearing in mind that customers will probably be both physical and digital readers? So how does a lockdown affect that model? If your answer is appropriate for this forum, you can share and copy paste to all attendees.
Shall we give him a chance to talk about that? Yeah,
John, I think that's a very interesting, say, analogy or parable. If I may, I just allow you to chime in. If you want to add more context to it, feel free. I've just unmuted you now. Over to you, John, if you'd like to, but if not.
Good morning. You might have guessed that I am the author in question, and the book's just about ready. It's being reviewed by a friend of mine at the moment. And this lockdown has really brought, even another idea that I didn't put into the text is, should I be thinking then of maybe doing it as a presentation instead of doing it just as digital and physical publication? And what are the other ideas? And given the fact that Audrey was referring to how useful it is to work in a group, is this example maybe applicable to find a group that is willing to guide rather than just plagiarize my work?
Well, first of all, the example I mentioned with Nick Bradshaw is the owner of the AI Trade Expo. Nick and I are actually competitors, but we're also in the same boat. And what happened now, where we were actually competitors in the market, we've now formed a coalition. So we are standing together with a blockchain event, that artificial intelligence event, and the innovation summit event that all three play out in Cape Town. We are now collaborating where we used to be competitors. So I would say you need to surround yourself with some other authors in the same boat. I have no advice on how to find them, but probably as a writer, you know where to find them. And I really think you will be amazed at the strength. Just think publicizing 3 books together and using the same channels but broader. Maybe that could give you wings. John, I don't have a clear-cut answer from my side, but I do think as an author, you might stand quite alone. And I think if I had to think this all by myself, I don't think we would have made a dent. It's the team that carries all of this, all the thinking of the people in our group, and our sister companies that help us to think new and recreate. So I would really advise you to surround yourself with other authors in the same boat. But isn't it wonderful that we can think about our businesses instead of just working in our businesses? You've written the book, now you must think, this was my route to market, but maybe this can stay my route to market, but now I can have many other routes to market because you've got a whole space of a following that is changing as we speak. So in the catastrophe, there's a huge opportunity as well.
Thank you.
What do you think?
Thanks, John.
Am I still live?
Yes.
Yeah. No, good. Audrey, thanks very much for that. It causes me to recognize that I have got to spend now quite a bit of time to surround myself with people who can give other ideas rather than trying to paddle my own canoe all the way up the river.
Yes, and it's maybe not necessary to do it all on your own.
Many thanks.
Any other questions? Do we have other comments?
Thoughts, ideas? We're still good on time.
So maybe I can say that because we're starting the series with our own experience, we've decided.
Sorry, Audrey. Sorry to interject. I just see that Louise said that his mic wasn't working or isn't working. Just to let you know. Thanks.
I saw that. I want to say that we have recruited, and John, this might even be interesting to you as well. The next founder that will speak next week, I think it's the 8th of April, next week, Wednesday at 10 o'clock in South African time. Obviously in Russia, it's a different time and other time zones. His name is Glenn Gillis, and he started an augmented reality and virtual reality company called Sea Monster. So Glenn is a great Cape Town entrepreneur that's going to talk about, listen to this, reimagining the digital business case of your business. And he's going to talk about the conceptual phase, the production phase, and the distribution phase. So John, I think that could be very right into your space. But mostly, lots of you might be in the same space. If I think of Lorna, your event options, you've got a lot of digital solutions, but you work in a very physical space. So maybe that's a very useful space for you as well. Obviously, it's a different type of business. It's a virtual reality and the augmented reality company, and they've got different stresses to deal with. They don't have to pivot, but they have to scale quickly to actually ride this wave. And I thought that his title is slab bang, where most of us are reimagining the digital business case of your business. And he's going to talk about concept, production, and distribution. So do we have any other questions, or will we conclude this for today? And Buntu, maybe over to you and Saskia, and then I will say the last few words.
Great, thanks, Audrey. I think I'm not seeing any other questions or in the Q&A, but it is at least the first step into say iterating a new business and pivoting to a new business and collaborating. So we do want to say share more resources here, and also or if you're following on Facebook, for example, or in the newsletters, we will be sharing more resources as well. I think that one of the most important things in this time is to communicate. So as you know, the change is happening, and you are going through that process, you know, surrounding yourself with the right people, communicating to your clients, to your partners, continuously. This is now the time to, you know, to sort of over communicate and make sure that, you know, your value proposition and what you're doing, that process is being heard. I think that this time is a time to bring people together and businesses together and closer to clients as well. So that's I'm looking forward to the next parts, and yeah, that's it from my side. Let's chat ongoing.
Saskia?
Yeah, sure. So I think it will be great if because we all in different situations, facing different challenges that COVID has brought to the fore. And if there are anything that any of you would want to share with us to see whether we can't help to share more about a certain challenge that you're facing, that will be very valuable. And I'm sure if you're in that same boat, there's many others that are also experiencing it. So you're welcome to pop us a mail, tell us what you want to find out more about. We can source speakers that can potentially have great sessions with you speaking about certain challenges. And I think it links to what Buntu is saying about communicating, but not only communicating, sharing and learning from one another. And I think that's one of the important things that we raise today. And we would also want to learn from you guys. And the Skolkovo Foundation is a perfect example. I think we've got the similar business models, and to find out how are they pivoting their financial model by changing their solution. That will be very interesting to me. And I think if we can continue these sessions by sharing and then building on it to help us just really not only survive, that's our first priority at the moment, but then actually to thrive going forward. And I think this is such a great opportunity to be pivoting, and when we look back, hopefully in a year or so, we will really be at a point where we're thriving, because this challenge has given us that opportunity to actually uncover things that we would have never done. So that's from my side.
So the virus is teaching us. So there's one question that I just want to read from Alexei Ali. He says, "Hi all. Think this is an important conversation to keep going. Would make one suggestion, which is that a platform be established with a list of the challenges that need to be overcome to hold the conference, and then use the platform to ideate around solutions and suggestions." Thank you, Alex. That is amazing proposal. Saskia, can you keep that suggestion, and let's maybe answer that next week if we can create a platform. Saskia invited you all to write to us at this stage, also respond in social media, but we want to hear about all the challenges. And then Alex says, let's talk about the summit itself, any eventing component, what do we need to overcome. So we're active participants on this platform that's open for everybody. Thank you very much for that contribution. So just from my side, I want to say thank you that you all pitched, that you are part of this, and that you know that you're not alone. In rural areas, in Russia, in other places of Africa, we are all in this together. And let's take this time to think about our businesses instead of being consumed with our businesses. So it gives us distance. We can see things that needs to be rectified. We can see things that needs to be amplified, and we can see things that needs to be pivoted. What can we deliver? What is our real value? And how do we digitalize that process? What is your true value? And hopefully next week's session can give you some answers on how to design digital spaces that you need to augment your business and your value with going forward, reaching more people than you've ever dreamed to reach up till now. So I want to encourage you, thank you for being here, and let's build on this from week to week. Thank you so much. See you again.
Thank you, everybody.